The 5-ton truck is the backbone of the Army's cargo hauling fleet. It is designed to transport equipment, materials, or personnel on all types of roads, as well as cross-country terrain. The addition of commercial components such as engines, automatic transmissions, and complete air brakes mark vast improvements over earlier Model 5 tons. The later M939A1 series were modified for super single tires, while the newer M939A2 series trucks include an improved lightweight, fuel-efficient engine and a central tire inflation system for better mobility. This program will focus on the capabilities of the M925A2 cargo truck and some of the preventive maintenance procedures you will be performing on the vehicle. Other models of the M939A2 series are similar, and the technical manual should be referred to for specific information on the model you are operating. Preventive maintenance checks and services, or PMCS, are performed on all equipment the Army owns to ensure the equipment remains in top operating condition. Some services will be performed before, during, or after the operation of the vehicle, while other checks and services are performed on a weekly or monthly basis. All these services are listed in your operator's manual, which must be used to conduct these checks. Make sure you pay attention to any safety, caution, or warning notes listed in the manual. If anything looks wrong and you can't fix it, write it on your DA Form 2404 and report it to Organizational Maintenance. Take along the Equipment Records folder and the basic issue items referred to as BII when performing PMCS. You also need a rag or two for wiping and to check lubricant levels. Before operation, PMCS must be performed prior to placing the vehicle or its components in operation. Begin with the exterior of the vehicle. Take a look at the left front tire and visually check it for any underinflation, leaks, cuts, or other damage that would prevent vehicle use. As you are walking around the vehicle, look it over for any damage or evidence of tampering. Next, ensure that you have a spare tire, it is secure, and that it is serviceable. Take a look at the fuel tank, lines, and fittings for leaks or damage. Also, check the fuel level and the tank cap and strainer for damage. Moving towards the rear of the vehicle, take a look at the cargo cover, checking for damage, and inspect the serviceability of the intermediate and rear axle tires. As you come around the rear of the vehicle, check the condition of the safety strap eyelets, the troop seats, latches, and retaining pins. Moving to the right side of the vehicle, inspect the rear and intermediate axle tires. Also check this side of the cargo cover for damage. Now look under the side of the vehicle for any signs of leaks from the transfer, transmission, and engine. Inspect the front tire in the same manner that you checked the other tires. From the front of the vehicle, inspect the area under it for any evidence of leaks. Next, raise the hood and secure the retaining bar to the bumper bracket. Remove the left and right engine splash shields to allow easier access to the checks under the hood. Remove the coolant surge tank filler cap and visually check the level. Inspect the drive belt for frays and cracks. Now check the fluid levels before starting the engine. First, check that the power steering reservoir level is at or slightly above the cold full mark. Pull out the dipstick and check the engine oil level. It should indicate a reading between the full and add 2 quarts marks. The last engine compartment check is to be sure fluid is present in the transmission. Then reinstall the engine splash shields. And release the hood retaining bar. Carefully lower the hood. Fasten the hood latches. And secure the retaining bar. Next, check inside the cab to ensure your vehicle has a fire extinguisher, it's charged, and the seal is not broken. Also ensure the mounting bracket is not damaged or missing. Sit in the driver's seat and adjust it as needed. Then adjust the left and right rear view mirrors so that both mirrors provide a clear view. Before starting the engine, make sure the parking brake is applied. The automatic transmission shift lever is in the N for neutral position, and the emergency engine stop control is pushed all the way in. To start the vehicle, place the battery switch to the on position. Now depress the accelerator pedal and turn the rotary ignition switch to the start position to engage the starter. After the engine starts, release the lever and it will automatically return to the run position. Run the engine at 700 to 800 RPM for approximately 5 minutes to allow it to warm up, and listen for any unusual noises or vibrations. While the engine is warming, check all instruments and lights. Begin by looking at the tachometer. At idle, it should read between 600 to 650 RPM. The engine oil pressure gauge must show at least 15 psi at idle. Have an assistant check the operation of all lights to include headlights, tail lights, turn signals, brake lights, and blackout lights.
Right turn signal. Good. Four-way flashers. Good.
Then look at the air cleaner gauge to ensure the red band is not visible in the window. If the red band is showing, the air cleaner must be serviced. Back to checking the remaining instruments. Check both primary and secondary air gauges to ensure both gauges show 90 to 130 psi. Look at the voltmeter and ensure it is in the green area. Then ensure the fuel gauge is registering. Sound the horn, then turn on the wipers and washers to make sure they operate and are in good condition. The parking brake is the last before operation check to make. With it applied, push in the spring brake release control and place the transmission in the 1 to 5 range. At idle, the vehicle should not move. You are now ready to operate your vehicle. First, fasten and adjust the seat belt and turn on the light switch to the required position. Ensure the transfer case shift lever is in high range for normal driving conditions. Now depress the brake pedal and place the transmission selector lever in the 1 to 5 range for operation on good roads and minimal grades. Release the parking brake and brake pedal and depress the accelerator pedal. Accelerate at a safe, steady speed to get the vehicle moving and maintain a desired speed as required by changing road or traffic conditions. When driving this vehicle on the road, there are a few tips that must be passed on. The transmission on this vehicle is fully automatic and has 5 forward range selections. However, it can be shifted manually within the RPM range to compensate for driving conditions. The 1 to 5 range has already been discussed. The 1 to 4 and the 1 to 3 ranges are used for moderate grades, heavy traffic, and restricted speed limits. When traveling on steep grades, heavy traffic, and rough terrain, select the 1 to 2 range. For pulling out with heavy loads, extreme grades, or over rough terrain, the 1 range should be used. This vehicle is equipped with complete air brakes. You must understand that with air brakes there is an added delay. The time required for the brakes to work after the brake pedal is pushed. With hydraulic brakes, like those used on cars and light trucks, the brakes work instantly. However, with air brakes, it takes a little time, 1/2 second or more, for the air to flow through the lines to the brakes. To use the air brakes, first constantly monitor the primary and secondary air pressure gauges for readings of 90 to 130 psi. Then let up on the accelerator pedal and apply firm, even pressure to the brake pedal as needed to slow or stop the vehicle for controlled braking. To steer the vehicle, always place your hands at the 3 and 9 o'clock positions. This allows you to maintain control of the vehicle if you have a front tire blowout or hit a pothole. Next are the steps for making right-hand turns. First, signal your intention and turn the vehicle slowly to give yourself and others more time to avoid problems. Don't turn wide to the left as you start the turn. A following driver may think you are turning left and try to pass you on the right. If you can't make the right turn without swinging into another lane, turn wide as you complete the turn. Watch out for vehicles coming toward you. Give them room to back up or stop. However, don't back up for them because you might hit someone behind you. When making left turns, signal your intention and make sure you have reached the center of the intersection before you start the turn. If you turn too soon, the left side of your vehicle may hit another vehicle because of off-tracking. In some left turn situations, there are 2 turning lanes. Always take the right-hand turn lane. Don't start in the inside lane because you may have to swing right to make the turn. Drivers on your right may be hard for you to see. You may hit them. When driving the newer model M939A1 or A2 series trucks, you need to be aware that this vehicle handles differently from older model 5 tons. Earlier models had dual rear tires, while the later models have super single tires. These models have had more rollovers than the earlier models. Driving slower, reducing speed consistent with road, visibility, and weather conditions, slowing before entering curves, and staying on the traveled portion of the roadway are all countermeasures to prevent rollovers. While driving this vehicle, there are several during operation checks that must be made. Check the engine coolant temperature gauge. It should be between 175 to 195 degrees Fahrenheit. Look at the transmission oil temperature gauge to ensure it reads between 120 to 220 degrees Fahrenheit. Monitor all other instruments and watch for any unusual readings as previously discussed in the before operation PMCS. While driving the vehicle, operate the service brakes to determine stopping ability. Check for any pulling, grabbing, or other abnormal operation. Shift the transmission through all gear ranges, observing any unusual stiffness or binding of the shifting linkage. Be alert for any wandering, unusual vibration, pulling, or binding in the steering mechanism, and listen for any strange noises or vibrations in the drive axles and propeller shafts. Driving cross-country is another difficult task. This vehicle is equipped with several features to assist with this task. The transfer case has 2 driving ranges, high and low. Low range automatically engages the front axle to give the vehicle six-wheel drive when the terrain is extremely rough. To shift the transfer case, the transmission must be in the neutral position, and the vehicle must be either stopped or slowed to less than 22 miles per hour. The transfer case can be shifted to high range when higher speeds are desired and the terrain is smoother. If additional traction is needed in high range, there is a front-wheel drive lock-in switch located on the instrument panel. This switch can be engaged when the vehicle is moving or stopped to give you six-wheel drive and is only used when the transfer case is in high range. The M939A2 series vehicles have an added tractive device with the Central Tire Inflation System, or CTIS. The CTIS selector panel is located next to the transmission selector lever. CTIS allows the driver to add or reduce tire pressures from the cab for different driving conditions. The CTIS uses the same air compressor that supplies air to the vehicle brakes. The vehicle brakes are always given priority over the CTIS. When the brake operation causes the air pressure in the brake reservoir to fall below a preset limit, inflation will stop until the air compressor has refilled the brake reservoir. The highway selector is the normal operating mode for CTIS. This mode is automatically set each time the engine is started. If a lower tire pressure mode has been selected the last time the vehicle was operated, CTIS will automatically begin to inflate to the highway setting. The cross-country selector is used for operating the truck on non-paved secondary roads and unimproved surfaces. It allows operation up to 35 miles per hour. If this speed is exceeded for more than 1 minute, the amber overspeed warning light will flash. If more than 2 minutes have elapsed at this speed, CTIS will automatically inflate to the highway tire pressure. The sand selector is used for operating the truck in sand, snow, or mud. It allows operation up to 20 miles per hour. When this speed is exceeded for more than 1 minute, the amber overspeed warning light will again flash. If more than 2 minutes have elapsed at this speed, CTIS will automatically inflate to the cross-country pressure. The emergency selector is used for operating the vehicle in extreme terrain conditions where maximum traction is required. The dash-mounted amber warning light will light whenever the emergency tire pressure mode is selected. Operation in this mode is limited to 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, the CTIS will inflate to sand unless the driver reselects emergency. Run flat is used when the mission requires operation with a punctured tire. Under normal conditions, the CTIS checks tire pressure every 15 minutes. By selecting the run flat mode, the CTIS will check the tire pressure every 15 seconds. Operation in this mode is limited to 10 minutes unless reselected. When no longer required, it can be shut off by pressing the selector a second time. When back on a hard surface road, push the highway selector on the CTIS panel to inflate the tires to the highway setting. The most rapid tire pressure increase is during vehicle operation with the engine operating at 2,000 RPM. After operation, PMCS are performed right after operating the equipment. Run the engine at idle for 3 to 5 minutes to allow the turbocharger to cool off. Shut off the engine and wash the vehicle with low-pressure water to remove all mud, dirt, and debris. Park the vehicle and continue with the after-operation PMCS. Look for any damage on the exterior of the vehicle and check the vehicle tires for cuts, gouges, cracks, or unusual wear. Also, look for any loose or missing lug nuts. Then check under the front of the vehicle for any fuel, oil, or coolant leaks. Next, raise the hood and remove the engine splash shields. Check the level of the engine oil and drain the fuel filter water separator. Loosen the valve on the bottom of the separator and allow water and sediment to drain into a suitable container. When clean fuel flows from the valve, close it and properly dispose of the waste fuel. Now reinstall the engine splash shields, lower the hood, and fasten the latches. The final service is to drain the air tanks. The air tanks must be drained in this sequence to prevent corrosion of the brake system and to remove all moisture from the tanks. The wet tank accumulates all moisture and must be drained first. To drain the wet tank, open the first drain cock, allow all moisture and air to drain, and close the drain cock. Follow this procedure for the second, third, and fourth drain cocks. Remember, do one drain cock at a time in this sequence and close all drain cocks after draining. This program has been a brief overview of some of the conditions under which this vehicle will operate and the before, during, and after operation preventive maintenance checks and services to be performed on this vehicle. For additional detailed information about this vehicle, refer to the Operator's Manual TM 9-2320-272-10.